Hello everyone, welcome to today's battle report, which is a rematch of last week's 4,500 point game between myself and Silas, Highborn Elves, Infernal Dwarves. A few tweaks to the Infernal Dwarves list, I will talk you through those. Let's get into deployment. Okay, so we're into deployment. We've got Dawn Assault, which means I can't deploy in this top corner here. I chose the sides and I chose to go at the top. Silas can't deploy at the bottom here. Silas won the role for deployment and deployed his whole army. So then I deployed mine knowing that I was going to be going second, which is why the four commanders on their monsters are hiding, using the hill and the impassable terrain as cover from the artillery pieces. It's also why the chaff and the big unit of Lion Guard are in the field, so that they're benefiting from soft cover. So the only really eligible targets for him at this stage in his first shooting phase will be the spearmen, who are over here to sort of defend the wall potentially, and then the big unit of Sea Guard and the Queen's Guard here. On Silas's side, I'm going to have a little bit of a rant here because some of these units are just bonkers. Citadel Guard on the left and in the middle here. 27 points, okay, bit pricey, but core. And they hit on a 3+ with 18-inch weapons, which are strength 4, armor piercing 2, core. That's cheaper than my Queen's Guard. Now, admittedly, my Queen's Guard have a longer range and hits on a better profile, but my Queen's Guard are elite archers. They're not core, and they don't get armor piercing 2 as well. So I think these want reducing it a little bit. And I hope they get somewhat hit with the nerf buff. Maybe just make them armor piercing 1, perhaps, something like that. Anyway, slaves here, vassal cavalry here, infernal engine, rant number 2. 415 points, resilience 7, health point 6, 3+ armor save, unbreakable, 18-inch flamethrower. Mental. Rocket cluster munitions here. This is fairly priced. I think it's quite expensive, about 400 points, I think, 300 maybe. No, it's a little bit less than that actually. It might be upper 200s. It's accurate. 4 shot, strength 6, armor piercing 3. Fairly nasty for its price tag, but maybe not overpowered. Certainly not underpowered. Then onto the big unit. Vizier, which is the BSB. Prophet on an Infernal Bastion, that's a Wizard Master. And a Vassal Conjurer. Now, this really wants smacking with the nerf bat. This Infernal Bastion platform gives the Prophet 8 health points. On top of that, the whole unit can fire as though they're on the Infernal Bastion. So that's going to be 20 models shooting from a gigantic vantage point, all shooting from the front line. As well as that, it provides soft cover for the unit. Then you get onto the unit, which is equipped with blunderbusses as an upgrade for 18 points core. Now, 18 points core, armor piercing 1, area attack 2, quick to fire, can march and shoot, rerolls 1s. Comes with a 4-up armor save as standard, 5-up ward against Aegis, can become a 3-up armor save for a 1-point upgrade of shields. Core, 18 points per model. That's insane. That wants smacking into the ground with the nerf bat over and over again. This unit here, unit of slaves, fine, no issues there. Vassal slingshot, cleverly deployed in the forest, no issues there. Unit of vassal levies, volley fire, bowmen, fair enough, and another unit of vassal cavalry. That concludes the deployment. So, quick look at vanguards here then. I don't have any, but Silas has gone outwards around the back here with his vassal cavalry here, and then up the side here, presumably trying to threaten my Queen's Guard. Those are your vanguards. Silas's end of movement 1 here then, and you can see he's generally moving up in the middle. He's bringing his levies across the side. His fast cavalry have sort of stayed where they are. They're hiding a bit, and I'm not sure why. But the Infernal Engine is hiding behind the impassable terrain here He knows he's nowhere near shooting either of my big blocks, which have to be his target, and he knows I'm going to start trying to whittle that down straight away, so he's hiding behind the impassable terrain. Yeah, this Vassal Cavalry up further up the side here. That's the end of Silas's movement 1. So, end of Silas's turn 1 here, and he's had quite a good turn 1. He's got Twisted Effigy off on my Sea Guard here, so they can't fire next turn, and my Wizard is at -2 to cast. I let him have that because I was trying to prevent Enveloping Embers on my Lion Guard, but his dice roll was insane, and I couldn't dispel it even with all my dice. So he managed to also kill 5 Lion Guard. His Bolt Thrower took out a couple of Queen's Guard, and his Rocket Cluster Munitions took out a few Sea Guard. So there you go. That's the end of Silas's turn 1. Okay, so my movement 1 here then. You can see I'm advancing down this side with my characters and monsters, continuing to use the terrain to prevent these artillery pieces from getting clean shots on my guys there. It's a little bit frustrating. I want to just get them forwards and get them in and get them causing trouble, but the defensive options provided by the terrain are just too good to ignore, and it's just reducing my movement slightly. I'm not getting the full movement, so that's a little bit frustrating. But anyway, aside from that, Spearmen have moved up. It's still in a good defensive location in case Silas somehow punches through this way, but I'm expecting them to probably come around here later. I've moved the Queen's Guard up just to bring them into range, moving the Lion Guard up because I want to get them into combat. They've already lost 5, so want to be heading into combat there soon. I have wheeled the Queen's Guard here so that I can get shots on the Vassal levies. All models but 1 can see this end guy. So yeah, I'm expecting to do a fair bit of damage here because these are elite archers. And then I've just got my 2 eagles placed to chaff up different things later. So there you go. That's the end of my movement 1. Okay, so end of my turn 1 here. It's been a really disappointing turn 1. Silas managed to dispel Flaming Swords of Ruin. Sorry, no, that's not true. He dispelled Pyroclastic Flow, and then my Flaming Swords of Ruin failed to cast. It fizzled with 1 die. I needed an 8 on 3 dice. I got a 7. And then he dispelled my bound spell. And the Queen's Guard, with 14 shots, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, armor piercing 1, managed to do just a single wound to the Vassal Cavalry. So that was a fairly pathetic turn 1. Silas's movement 2 here then. He's not made any charges. He's actually backed off with this unit here, wanting to keep his distance from the Lion Guard, presumably. He's brought his slaves up here, but he's letting his Citadel Guard largely stay still, wanting to get their shooting, obviously. He's moving his fast cavalry around the back a little bit. And yeah, I think that's about it, actually, for his movement. Okay, so Silas's turn 2 here then. He's got Twisted Effigy off on my Sea Guard again, so they're not going to be shooting, and my Wizard's going to be at -2 to cast. But he didn't manage to cast any other spells. The Levies and the Bolt Thrower down here performed quite badly for him. Well, very badly, got 0 hits. The Rocket Cluster Munitions killed 2 Sea Guard, which was fairly poor, really, I suppose, because they were hitting on 3s accurate with Strength 6, so that should have done better. But the Citadel Guard did well here. This unit here managed to take out 6 Sea Guard, so that was pretty good. The Infernal Warriors also did 4 wounds on the Sea Guard, and 1 wound on the General over here from these Citadel Guard here. My Sea Guard did hold, though they didn't panic. So that was the end of Silas's turn 2. Okay, my movement 2 here then, and the first thing I've done is to declare charges on the vassal cavalry. Sorry, that's not true. On the Citadel Guard. Now the Citadel Guard have done 1 wound on a standard shoot on the second commander in the process, but then have elected to flee. That has in turn caused the slaves to flee, and the slaves have ran through the, because of the angle of the flee, have ran through the infernal engine and have actually just about end 1 model off the board, which of course means the whole unit was off the board. So it's been a really good movement turn 2 from my point of view. I've brought the dragon up here. I was hoping that he would get into combat, make himself useful over here, but now that this unit's fleeing and the other units are gone, there's not very much for him to do here, so he's going to be heading into the middle this way. With the absence of threat as it is, I've now wheeled the spearmen to head along here, and I'm thinking that they can be a plan B for this secondary objective. Want to get the Lion Guard into combat, so they are heading this way. I forgot to mention the aspect of Silas's burning effigy means that these guys, their march distance has been reduced by 2, which is why I've not charged. Otherwise I might have been tempted by the charge. And I've dropped a couple of eagles here to block charges from these 2 units so that my Lion Guard can get into this unit. My Queen's Guard have sidestepped a little bit so that they can again shoot here, seeing the guy on the side. And the Sea Guard, I think they might have moved up a touch, I think. Or they might have stayed still, but nothing too exciting there. So that's the end of my movement 2. Okay, so end of my movement 2 here, end of my turn 2 here then. In the magic phase I got Flaming Swords of Ruin off on the Sea Guard, but I miscast, which was annoying because I only used 4 dice, and I miscast with a 555, causing 1 wound to my mage. So he's down to just 1 wound now. I thought I might lose him at one point, so that would have been pretty bad for turn 2, but it wasn't to be. The Queen's Guard then, because they're strength 4 and +1 to wound, we're able to finish off the vassal cavalry, so they're gone here. And I also managed to do 1 wound on the rocket cluster here with the blaze aspect. And that was it for my turn 2. Okay, so on to Silas's movement 3 here then. And he's just done the 1 charge, the slaves into the eagle, take out the chaff. Good move. He's rallied his Citadel Guard over here, and he's spotted something really clever here. He's moved his Infernal Engine to this point here, which is just 17.9 inches from my Queen's Guard there, so he's going to get that flamethrower down the side of my Lion's Guard, so I'm expecting that to be fairly savage. His other units are largely kind of holding their positions, plenty of shooting coming there, and his fast cavalry are just continuing to loiter around the back here. So that's the end of Silas's movement 3. Okay, end of Silas's turn 3 here then, and it's been a really poor one for him, to be fair. He got Pyroclastic Flow off on the Lion's Guard and did 0 wounds, which was shocking. The Infernal Warriors, with their 20 shots, armor piercing and vantage point and everything else, only managed 2 wounds on the Lion Guard. The Prophet did 1 wound on the Lion Guard. And then the Vassal Levies did 2 wounds on the Lion Guard. So for all that shooting, he's got a total of 5 Lion Guard. That's so-so, I suppose. The Rocket Cluster Munitions did 0 wounds on the Eagle that was here, which then forced him to put all of his Citadel Guard into getting rid of the chaff, but it's got to be done. And his Infernal Engine really underperformed. That thing gets D6 plus 4d3 shots, which hit automatically, and he got 1 wound. So that was really poor. And then in combat, the slaves killed the eagle and reformed to protect these 2 units, protecting each other's flanks, basically, from the Lion Guard. So there you go. That's the end of Silas's turn 3. Into my movement 3 then, and I've charged the Lion Guard into this big unit here, wanting to see what they can do. And what else have I done? Elsewhere, I've got my 3 commanders into position here for these levies. I've put the wounded one down on the side here so that if he wants to shoot at it, he has to move, so he'll be at -1 for that. And I want to get a flank, so this kind of 3-pronged attack, I'm expecting to sort of smash through them really a bit. Brought the dragon into the middle, possibly to back up the Lion Guard, or possibly to head in this direction is what I'm thinking. Brought the spearmen up there, advancing along this line towards a secondary objective, I'm hoping. Depends what happens here. I've reformed my Sea Guard because there's only 14 plus the wizard now, so I've reformed them into 3 ranks for the volley fire and maximum benefit there. And I've moved the archers just a touch here to bring them into a useful position. So that's the end of my movement 3. Okay, so end of my turn 3 here then, and you can see it's been an absolutely disastrous one. Pyroclastic Flow was cast on the Infernal Engine, did 0 wounds, but that's not a massive surprise because it is Resilience 7 after all. Queen's Guard, 1 wound on the Bolt Thrower. That's despite 14 shots hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s. You would expect, what, 3? 2 or 3? Anyway, got 1. And then this unit just unleashed the pain. The Prophet's got 5 attacks and strength 5. The Vizier's got 4 attacks with a great weapon. Yeah, it was just savage, really. And the Lion Guard broke from combat and ran. The Lion Guard, to be fair, have only got 1 attack each. So for elite troops, I don't know. Anyway, they fled and broke, and Silas elected to reform. So he's now kind of facing the middle with this big powerful block, and I find myself thinking, if that thing comes forwards, I don't know what I'm going to do about it. Maybe meet it with the spears and hit it with every flank, you know, hit it on the flanks with everything imaginable that's left, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, very bad turn 3 for me. Okay, so Silas's movement 4 here then. And you can see he's not had any charges. He's decided to largely stay where he is. He's going to focus on his shooting here. He's brought the slaves up as well into the middle. He's moving with his vassal levies and his fast cavalry here, presumably to get maximum points for the Lion Guard, which is a perfectly sensible move, and then maybe threaten the Queen's Guard later. You'll notice he's reformed his Citadel Guard here to come around this way because he's brought his Infernal Engine this way to support this block of Citadel Guard against the 3 commanders. So there you go. That's the end of Silas's movement 4. Okay, end of Silas's turn 4 here then, and he's had a really bad turn 4. He got flaming swords off on his Infernal Warriors in the magic phase, but they were largely ineffective. They managed just 1 wound on the general, despite wounding him on a 5+ with the flaming swords. Most of his shooting missed. His rocket cluster munitions missed or failed to wound when they did hit. The bolt thrower missed. The levies missed. The Citadel Guard here got 1 wound on the commander. So it was a very ineffectual phase of shooting for Silas in turn 4. Okay, so we're on to my movement 4 here then. The main event of the movement phase is the triple successful charge on the on the Citadel Guard rather, who did manage to get 1 wound from the stand and shoot on one of my commanders, but that's okay. The general, having ridden his luck, has realised he doesn't want to be hanging around in the middle there anymore with only 2 wounds, so has come and bravely cowered behind the impassable terrain here. Spearmen are just holding position. I think I'm actually backing up a little bit here, not to make the shooting too easy for him, although he can march and he's quick to fire. So I suppose that's not going to make a whole lot of difference. Sea Guard standing still so they can get their maximum value from fire. Queen's Guard likewise standing still. I'm planning to take out this fast cavalry unit since it's such a viable target, and the Lion's Guard are continuing to run away. So that's the end of my movement 4. So, end of my turn 4 here then. My magic phase was terrible. 2 of my 3 spells failed to cast, and Silas was able to dispel my final one, so that was very disappointing. The Queen's Guard also underperformed, causing only 3 wounds on the vassal cavalry. They should have absolutely ripped those to pieces. So the Sea Guard had to come in and finish off the last 2, which they just about did. So that's that there. And then predictably in the middle here, the 3 characters with the Griffins absolutely mullered the Citadel Guard without taking any wounds. Now, I've elected not to overrun. I don't want to run into the path of this thing because it's got impact hits. But I am a little bit close with this one. There's not a lot I can do about that at this stage. So I'm probably going to end up fleeing here. I'm expecting a charge there. So, yeah, we'll see. Okay, so Silas is movement 5 here then, and he has very intelligently declared a charge on my general. I don't fancy him getting impact hits and grind attacks and the however many more attacks that thing has with its resilience 7 and its health point 6. If he's going to engage it, he needs to charge it. So he's had to flee. He's fled through the spearmen, but they've held. Silas is then redirected into this griffin, who has in turn fled. I think he'd have been better redirecting into this griffin, because there'd have been a... No, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it didn't make that much difference. Anyway, so double flee, and it's failed its charge. He's brought the Citadel Guard round the side here to offer support for the Infernal Engine, and he's moving up into the middle in a threatening position here. Slaves peeling off upwards and right towards the Lion Guard to sort of finish those points later on, I think. So that's the end of Silas's movement 5. Okay, so end of Silas's turn 5 here then, and he did really well in his magic phase. Got a massive roll on 4 dice on enveloping embers, and so that and the blaze aspect between them took out 12 of my spearmen, but they didn't panic, so that was something. The levies here did 1 wound on the Lion Guard, so that's down to 1. The rocket cluster munitions also did really well, 2 wounds on my commander over here. And the Infernal Warriors did 5 wounds on the Sea Guard, who also passed their discipline test, although they are elves, so I suppose they should. So that was the end of Silas's turn 5. Okay, into my movement 5 here then, and both of my Griffins with my commanders on top have gotten into the Infernal Engine. So what I'm thinking here is that the 2 commanders between them have 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, wounding on 5s, with armor piercing 3, and the 2 Griffins between them have 10 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 5s, with armor piercing 3 or 4. So I'm expecting to do probably about 4 wounds here, and then that will leave it down to 2 if I'm lucky, and then I might be able to sort of grind it out. I might lose a commander along the way, but that's sort of the idea. This commander on Griffin has rallied, my general has rallied, my spearmen have backed up. I don't want to invite a charge here. I think if he charged I'd get smashed, so I'm backing up there. Sea Guard staying where they are, maximise their shooting outputs. Similar for the Queen's Guard, and this 1 Lion Guard is continuing to run away for the board edge. So that's the end of my movement 5. So end of my turn 5 here then, and it's been so-so as turns go. I managed to kill 2 Citadel Guard with Lightning Vambraces, bound item. It's not a big deal. The most positive event in this turn was that the Queen's Guard, with their long range, finally had a good round of shooting and managed to kill the rocket cluster for upper 200 points. That's not bad. I only did 2 wounds on the Infernal Engine. Should have done at least 3. Mathematically speaking, should have been 4. Only did 2 and lost the commander along the way as well. So I was disappointed with that. But I did win combat, so I was able to reform and slide my my BSB right to the side here to make this charge a bit longer. So that was the end of my turn 5. Okay, so we're into Silas's movement 6 here then. You can see the Citadel Guard have made this flank charge here. I think this is a mistake though, because it's giving me something soft and squishy to hit. There's no way this guy's going to take out the Infernal Engine by himself now, so I'm relying on combat points and him not dying, so that's actually enabled me somewhat. The slaves charged at the Lion Guard, who fled off the board. Then they redirected to the Queen's Guard, who promptly dispatched 5 of them with a stand and shoot, and then they failed their charge. So that was entertaining in the middle. And the big block here is moved up to reduce the range with shooting to short range. So that's the end of Silas's movement 6. Okay, so end of turn 6. I am sorry about the dice roller being on the screen, everyone. I thought I was doing so well. I haven't missed a single photograph, and I thought I was in for a nice, tidy, neat battle report, but there you go. So, I managed to dispel Enveloping Embers in Silas's turn 6, but he did get Pyroclastic Flow, which killed a couple of spearmen, and with Blaze he took out 1 Sea Guard as well. The Vassal Levies did 2 wounds on the Queen's Guard, and then his Vizier did 1 wound on the Sea Guard, which takes this down to decimated. His Infernal Warriors did another 2 wounds on the Sea Guard, which was an underperformance for him. The Citadel Guard, as predicted, did give me something soft and squishy to hit. But they held in combat despite losing by, I think it was only 1 point, to be fair. And remarkably, the commander survived without a good performance from the Infernal Engine. He did quite well, and he's got a 3-up armor, 5-up ward as well. So yeah, there you go. That was perhaps a little bit lucky for him. I'm not sure there. So that's the end of Silas's turn 6. Okay, so we're into my movement 6 here then, and in the charge phase I've got my commander into the flank of the Citadel Guard here. Them holding meant that he had a much shorter charge distance to get into combat, so I'm expecting him to do quite a bit of damage to them. My dragon, now that he can't be shot at, has bravely come out of his hiding position and is going to try and breath weapon this unit. So the position I'm in here is I can't reach these vassal levies, and I'm going to try and decimate this unit. I sort of wondered about shooting at the bolt thrower with my Queen's Guard, and maybe that would have been a better idea, but then these 2 units with their shooting attacks wouldn't have been able to do enough damage to this unit without them, was what I was thinking. So yeah, there you go. That's the end of my movement 6. Okay, so end of my turn 6, and I think my plan didn't really pull off. I managed to get Flaming Swords on my Queen's Guard to give them +1 to wound, so they were going to be hitting this unit on 3s, wounding it on 3s with armor piercing 1, but in spite of that they got 0 wounds, so that was very frustrating. I killed 1 Infernal Warrior with Blaze, whoopie-doo. The Dragon's Breath Weapon, 2d6 Strength 4, Armor Piercing 1, 0 wounds. And the Sea Guard killed 1 Infernal Warrior. So total of 2 Infernal Warriors. So that was pathetic. I think I'd have been much better having my Queen's Guard take out the Bolt Thrower for a semi-meaningful number of points. But there you go, that was the end of that. Combat over here. The first Griffin came in and gave the Citadel Guard a good slapping around. They broke. He chased because he dropped out of combat, but I mean, it wouldn't have mattered anyway because they were broken at the end of the turn. But this Griffin did absolutely nothing, but we still managed to win combat here because of the points we got from the Citadel Guard, and the engine underperformed and dished out, I think, only 1 wound on this commander. So that was the end of the game. Reflecting back on the game, I definitely need to protect my Lion Guard more effectively. They are much too squishy to be kind of going up in the face of whatever's getting thrown at them, and they're going to be prioritised because they hit quite hard even though they only have 1 attack each. I think the game was up and down. I think we both had some abysmal turns in terms of dice. I think we both made mistakes. I think me running my Lion Guard into that big block was a mistake. I think Silas bringing his Citadel Guard into base contact with the commander was a mistake. But I think that kind of levelled out, really. But I stand by my initial rant. I think that the Infernal Warriors and that Prophet in particular are just mental. 18 points for a 3-up, 5-up against Flaming. Armour Piercing 1, Area Attacks 2, Quick to Fire, Marches to Fire, Rerolls 1s. That's insane. That's just absolutely bonkers. And then that mount that he's got, 8 health points, and everybody can shoot from the front corners, 20 shots, and it gives soft cover. And then that Infernal Engine, I mean, 415 points, it's not cheap, but Resilience 7 and 6 health points with a 3-up armour save, Unbreakable, and an 18-inch flamethrower that just has to come down. And then those flintlock axes on the Citadel Guard, I still think are slightly overpowered as well. 3+ to hit, Strength 4, Armour Piercing 2, and its core. It's too much. Anyway, the game ended 10-10, with Silas having scored 1,558 and me having scored 1,775. So that was that. Thank you, everybody. I hope that was informative and enjoyable. And have a good day wherever you are. Bye-bye.